Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic less known classics. This is episode number 3138, Doubleshot number 3032. These two trades have what they have in common? They feature Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, though the other one features Catwoman. First up we have is Poison Ivy by G. Willow Wilson, Volume 4, known as Origin of Species. This collects issues 19 to 24 of the Poison Ivy ongoing series. And this storyline in particular, it's like the first couple issues is input where it reveals that apparently Ivy was in a relationship with Jason Woodrow. And also they show her old girlfriend Bella, which was her first girlfriend, who was first introduced in Batman. I think it was just prior to the events of Fear State. She appears in flashback, and we jump ahead to present day, where, and this is after 2 issues of flashback. Of course, Ivy's here with, of course, not Ivy, Harley, Killer Croc is here along with Solomon Grundy. And by the way, this takes up the first 2 issues. Actually, first 3 issues, where they reveal this whole flashback of how she got her powers. And also the first time she fought Batman and Robin. And of course, in her... I appreciate the fact the artist remembered that the first time she ever fought was actually in this very attire. Which is also, fun fact, also the same attire used when she first appeared in the Batman animated series, 1990s. Which, yeah, they have these all these cool looking gas masks because of her little poison in Spring City. And it's been Arkham Asylum. And then we finally jump ahead to present day. By the way, 4 issues after basically 3 straight issues of a flashback explain Ivy's history with Woodrow, who is, by the way, a character who started out as a villain for Ray Palmer the Atom, who became a long-running villain for Swamp Thing, has been associated with Poison Ivy for years. So, yeah, so a lot of this simply put her fighting him. We have Janet. She was a character introduced in this book in issue 1, who Ivy had a relationship with, along with being in a relationship with Harley Quinn. So they basically battle her throughout a lot of this book, which I thought this was really cool. And of course, then Harley Quinn shows up, Ivy's girlfriend. Also, the fact that Janice also kissed Harley in the previous trade. So they have the plant guy here, and of course, look like Ivy's about to die. And we get to the final issue where she gets kind of reborn and fixed. Yes, thanks to the connection to the green. And then she comes out butt naked. Something Harley loves seeing her naked. And of course, they cover up, and she puts on this brand new attire for herself. And then, of course, basically, not long after this, basically, Jen admits, oh yeah, the fact that Janet slept with Ivy, and she kissed Harley, and, of course, basically, they make up. Also, they kind of wrap up the whole thing of... There was a thing going in the books in issue 1, that actually happened prior to this, where Ivy was a little more exposed with plant stuff, because of the way she was revived, after the events of Heroes in Crisis. This, I guess, basically throughout the course of the 2 years of this book, G. Wilson was trying to tell her own story while also trying to cure Ivy. Not her powers per se, just the whole plant stuff growing off her body. So they succeed doing that, and of course, then the book ends. Also, by the way, we also appear here by Red Hood. Yep, he appears in the book too. This book is actually, you think about the end of this book, it's like, oh, it's the end of the series. Not really. You could kind of think of it as the end of the first saga for the series, which took the first 2 years of this title. I give this book here a 9 out of 10. Yeah, there's no denying G. Wilson doing a fantastic job with this title. And it's good storytelling, and unlike Marvel Comics, tend to do stuff with their own stuff with it, tend to tell not as good stories as this. This book, DC brags, oh, she's a glad-wearing writer. As far as I can tell, they leave her alone. Nothing in this book feels forced. And over the course of the past 2 years, it's been consistently really good. I've been thoroughly enjoying this. I've been buying the trades. It took me a while to get the last two because I had the temporary stop because my local Barnes & Noble didn't have next year. I kind of ordered them from my local comic book store, but they've had issues with distribution. So, and then after like a while not buying these trades, and then I got back to buying them. Alright, but next up, basically, I got the book just yesterday, believe it or not. This other book yesterday, and we have Gotham City Sirens, Trigger Happy. Yes, this was a miniseries. Basically, what DC did, they took Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and Catwoman, took the 3 titles, put them on hiatus for 4 months just for this miniseries. I have no idea why in the world that DC thought this was a good idea, but they did. We have Willie Williams on the writing here. The cover is done by Terry Dodson. Like, okay, cool. The entire work here is done by 3 different artists, actually 4. You have Mattia Lawley, Daniel Haylord, and Brandon Stein. So, yeah, 4 issues miniseries. Starts off with this woman running through the alleyways, and turns out she is being chased by men who are shirtless on horseback. And turns out this woman is actually, I kid you not, the White Rabbit from David Haynes' Dark Knight book. This is technically her first appearance that she's made since a one-off appearance in Clayface, but you could say this is the first proper appearance of the character since that particular run, which had the bumper cut off because of reasons. And then, by the way, the same woman who also, this woman here, yeah, she briefly dated Batman during the opening 8 issues of Dark Knight. This, of course, before they had Greg Hurwitz took over the book. And then she stopped by Catwoman for reasons, like happens to cousin Jenna. You have Harley just take her hyenas for a walk in the park. And then we have cowboys riding ATVs in the park shooting off their guns. You're like, what the heck is going on here? Why in the world are villains using a Western theme? Because they just have to. Yep. And you have Ivy or Lab. It's like, oh, XO Punch. Yep. Has been banned for reasons. And then reveals some woman in a bikini playing, at least streaming online, and it turns out the woman in the tub is Punchline. You know, the woman who James Tynion kind of created to be kind of a new Harley Quinn, even though that Harley Quinn despises her. And by the way, this book features the first time these two have ever encountered each other since Joker War. Yes, for some strange reason, the writers of DC Comics, like, okay, so it's like, here's Punchline, basically what she's done in the past several years since her debut appearance. After Joker War, what did she do? She had a Becca featured Joker, a miniseries, great game by Teenie Howard, who then decided not to make her a recurring villain for Harley, made her a villain for Catwoman, and now she's here. And, oh, by the way, she did also in Year of the Villain, which was confusing with her debut appearance. And that's kind of all she's done in the past 5 years. And this miniseries came out, I think, just last year, I think it was. Yeah, last year. So, yeah. Punchline is here, and she's playing, look like on a PlayStation. And then we see her put on this cowgirl outfit. And the whole thing is all punching. You have Ivy making out with Harley. Catwoman's like, okay. Yep. And then, of course, apparently, like, so Punchline ordered her men to kidnap White Rabbit for some reason. And they do reference the Punchline miniseries, which Teen Howard wrote that, Nellie Williams. Now, was that her previous book she appeared in before this? No, her previous book she appeared in was Catwoman, by Teenie Howard. Yeah, she was a recurring villain for Catwoman for some reason, because apparently Teenie Howard did not want to put her in Harley Quinn, despite the fact that her being a villain for Harley Quinn makes more sense than her being a villain for Catwoman. I don't know why. And like, oh yeah, delivery is canceled, and then we have the girls dressed in cowgirl outfits because it's a because it's a Western themed book. Yep. So they smash up the Exo Punch, and then you have Punchline opening up her truck, and well, then we see Harley, Ivy, and Catwoman in jail for reasons. So apparently, Punchline controls a Western town for some reason. They kind of kept it look like a hot box. So eventually they do get out. Of course, it's all about Western stuff. And you have White Rabbit souped up on what looks like to be frickin' Venom. Except it's Punch Juice. The Exo Punch. Now, why in the world they put her on this? No idea. They just did it because they felt like it. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course they fly away. And then of course basically you have her saying, I'm Dumb Bunny. Seriously. Oh yeah, by the way, the battle zombies. Yep. Let's have the girls battle zombies. And then you have Ivy going to her plant form, going giant size. To stop Punchline. Yep. And they succeed. And this, well, like I said, has the first time Harley has interacted with Punchline since Joker War. Which, that came out 5 years ago. This was 4 years later, so these two have not interacted with each other at all. Yep. So, then White Rabbit's her back normal. Then you have Catwoman hallucinating. At one point, you see her wearing the outfit from the Batman animated series for one panel. So you go to various different attires. Then you have Harley like, I'm Harley, by the way. Oof! I know who you are. Yep, and then you have White Rabbit on Venom once again, and they have basically Punch again. Yeah, then you have Ivy going mad because it's all about this drug affecting the plant life. Like, I'm a businesswoman. And of course, you have Catwoman's like, you who murders and enslaves people. And of course, then she gets whacked in the leg by Harley's mallet, basically breaking her leg. Let's see. Plus, it's just awful. Vibes versus charisma, being near taking psychic damage. You call me a slur. And you hurt animals. Yep. And then we have an animal rampage. And this stuff being unleashed. And then the book ends with Ivy's like, do we just let loose infected drag animals to Gotham? We'll deal with it tomorrow. Oh, for sure. And that's kind of how the book ends. By far, one of DC's most bizarre books I've ever read. It's not terrible. It's a lot of fun. Yes. But the coolest thing about this book is you have Harley fighting Punchline. And I'm like, why couldn't she appear in the Harley Quinn title? No, seriously. That's the weird thing. In the 5 years since Punchline's debut, 5 years since Joker War, Harley has only met her twice. You heard me correctly. Twice. Joker War and this. And that was it. I give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. And I'll keep ranting about this. Why would DC keep these two apart for 4 years? Why wouldn't they interact with each other at all? You would think that, Punchline, a woman who's simply a rip-off of Harley, but not as lovable, but both very, very beautiful women, and apparently Joker is sympathetic toward her compared to Harley. I thought that was kind of weird. She's probably by far one of the very few Jane Steve characters who's still very long-lasting, who's actually still around. Ghostmaker is not doing much of anything ever since they basically run him off in the Batman Incorporated book along with Clown Killer. There's also Underboss, the Gardener, who is actually Belle. Actually, she actually returned to this book actually, but not many people. It's like Yeah, Tenney created these amazing characters during his amazing run for Batman, and it just seems like, with the exception of Punchline, it just seemed like nobody wants to use any characters he created. Heck, he created a character called the Designer and the Underboss. Yeah, he did. And it's almost like the only thing he's been associated with, aside from Punchline, that people with DC Comics actually like using is the Court of Owls. And that's it. That is literally the only thing people like using in comics. It's like, as a reader, I'm like, yeah, we have these really cool characters, but writers DC Comics don't care to use them. Because they rather create their own characters, or they rather use characters nobody cares about. But people do care about Punchline, because she's popular. Yes, I think she's popular. I think she's popular with Harley. No, I don't think she's popular with Harley. I do think she's popular. Yes. And at least she's active. But I don't think she's been featured since this book wrapped up. But White Rabbit, wow. Seeing that character again in this book, I'm like, where the heck have you been? Because all she's featured in was that opening, like I mentioned, opening arc with Batman and Dark Knight, and she's also featured in a Clayface one-shot. Yes, a Clayface one-shot. And you're like, seriously? Oh, and here's the weird thing about this woman. Did you know she's never met Mad Hatter? You're like, what? Seriously? Yeah. I am not kidding about that. This woman has never met her. I don't know why. It is one of the more weirder things related to this character. You would think a character based on Alice in Wonderland, they would, feature her as part of the Wonderland gang along with Mad Hatter and Tweedledee Tweedledum. No. Yeah, and by the way, they use her own name here, Jenna Hudson, because she switches back and forth. And she briefly, she is kind of part of Wonderland gang, but I never see a part of the actual group itself. Not really. Okay, so apparently she put Arkham War. I don't remember her being there. But apparently she was featured. I don't remember her being. I remember Bane being basically the starring character of that book. And then she returned to this. So, I may have missed some stuff basically it's featured in. So, okay, so, yes, I was right about the Dark Knight. Oh, I kind of forgot the fact she's featured in the opening arc for Batman and Robin. Yeah, I kind of forgot that. So she has been featured after this in a few issues of the Two-Face book. Like, seriously? Two-Face? Yep. Two-Face. He has a series. And I believe it's a limited series. It's only published 6 issues so far. It's really good. Looking forward to seeing the rest come out. Yeah, and she's featured in that book. I thought last time was in Clayface, but no, she was featured in Forever Evil, which I kind of forgot she was there. Apparently, she did appear in Batgirl. Yeah, she appeared in Gail Simone's final issue. And I don't think people remember her being there. But apparently they feature her there. Of course, Batman and Robin, obviously. This book. But after this, she was featured in Two-Face. But, well, Punchline. Punchline herself. Well, she, of course, featured in Joker War. I know Catwoman. She had a couple mini-series with her. Um, so she did return to Batman recently as part of the Dark Prison story arc. You're thinking, where? Let's see. And this is Punchline, mind you, yes. Oh, she is probably has a small cameo in Blackgate. Let's see. Oh, I thought it was a whole story. So she appeared like 2 issues. I thought it was like a whole issue. Nope, it was just a couple issues. At least she's still appearing. Oh, she did appear in Harley Quinn. I probably didn't review this. No, I haven't. Oh, this is from the previous volume for the book. Not the current volume. Yeah, I don't remember her being in this book, but in the current book, no, she has not. I don't remember her appearing there. It's probably, yeah, it's a flashback. She basically never physically fought Harley in her book. At least the character's still active. Yes. Weird enough, she had a feature in... She also had Night Terrors miniseries. Yes. She had a Night Terrors miniseries, which... Which is kind of weird if she had that. But I think after this book came out, let's see, this book came out. Well, probably featuring Green Lantern. Okay, so basically, the last issue released in August of last year, and from what I can see here, it seems like her most recent book she appeared in was in Batman, which, okay, so that was not the most recent book she featured in. This was featured before that. So the question is, was featured after this book wrapped up? Yes. Well, as a hologram of Real Lantern, but you could say probably this book here is probably the most recent major book she appeared in. Yep, but there's that. So that's pretty much it, particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and I will see you on the next video, which will be My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Okay, next video. Bye.